In this problem, we are going to go through a complicated looking word problem related to money. So it says you have $8,000. You want to invest the money in a stock mutual fund, a bond mutual fund, and a money market fund. You want your investments to obtain an overall annual return of 8.25%, and then a financial planner recommends you invest 4 times as much in stocks as you do in the money market fund, and the same amount in stocks as in the money market fund and bonds combined. How much should you invest in each fund? There's a lot of different things going on here. So you have to first figure out what you're interacting with. So I'm going to have 3 separate things that I'm looking at. I'm going to have stock mutual fund, which I'm going to call X, bond mutual fund, which I'm going to have Y, and money market fund, which I'm going to have Z. So X, Y, and Z are how much money I'm going to put in each of those situations. If I were to add all of those up, I'm going to have $8,000. This is an equation that I'm not actually going to end up using, and I'll share why after I get all of my equations. So the hardest equation to come up with is based off of this sentence right here. It uses these numbers right here. So if I take 10% of what I put in a stock mutual fund, that's 0.10 times X, that's 10% of return. Plus, I'm going to have a 7%, that's plus 0.07% return for Y, so 0.07 times Y. Similarly, 0.05 times Z. That is going to be a 10% return on my money from X, a 7% of my return on my money from Y, and a 5% return on my money for Z. I want that to equal 0.0825. That's 8.25% of my return on $8,000. So I did the same pattern. The return that I'm trying to get times how much money I had. This is why I'm not actually using this equation. It's buried inside of this one. I'd be kind of repeating myself if I were to use it, because the X, the Y, and the Z add up to be the 8,000. The next 2 equations I'm going to need, I have 3 variables, I need to have 3 equations, is going to be based off of this next sentence. Okay, a financial planner recommends you invest 4 times as much in stocks as you do in the money market fund. That means stocks is the bigger thing, and the money market fund is the smaller thing, which means I have to multiply the smaller thing by 4 to equal the bigger thing. So I've got X equals 4Z, and then the net rest of that sentence tells me the same amount in stocks, which is, again, X, as in the market fund and the bond mutual fund combined. That's a Y plus Z. So here are my 3 equations. That's what I'm going to use, but I cannot set my matrix up yet because they're not all in the same order, the same pattern. So 0.01X plus 0.07Y plus 0.05Z equals, if I want to multiply out this 0.0825 times 8,000, I can do that right now. It's going to equal 660. You don't have to multiply that out right now if you don't want to. It's up to you. But now I need to get these next ones in the same X, Y, Z equals constant order, which means I'm going to subtract 4Z from both sides of that second one. I'm going to have an X plus 0Y. There are no Y's. Minus 4Z equals now 0. Okay, I do the same thing here on the third one, in the sense that I subtract everything from the right to bring it to the left to end up with X minus Y minus Z equals 0. This seems like a silly, insignificant step, but if you don't move these things over, you're going to get coefficients that have the wrong signs, which are going to mess with the rest of your problem. So my augmented matrix is 0.10, 0.07, 0.05, 660. 1, 0, negative 4, 0, 1, negative 1, negative 1, 0. Those last 2 equations are very nice for coming up with my augmented matrix. This is then going to go to my reduced row echelon form. So in my calculator, second matrix, scroll over to edit. I'm using matrix A. This is going to be a 3x4 matrix. I go and put all of these entries in. I hit second quit. Then I go back second matrix, scroll over to math, then to RREF, reduce row echelon form. Second matrix, I did matrix A, and I'm going to get 1, 0, 0, 4,000, 0, 1, 0, 3,000, 0, 0, 1, 1,000. That's going to tell me that my stock fund had $4,000. My bond fund, my bond mutual fund, I'm going to use $3,000, and my money market fund is going to be $1,000. Okay. So first things, the bottom two equations are much easier to check. The bond and the money market funds add up to 4,000, which is stock. So that is simple. 4 times the money market fund does equal the stock fund, which is simple. That makes sense. And if I want to figure out exactly how much each thing made, I could based off of my expected return. But if I plug 4,000 in for X, 3,000 in for Y, and 1,000 in for Z into that 0.10X plus 0.07Y plus 0.05Z, that will multiply out to be $660, meaning on my $8,000, I made $660 right away, which is pretty good. All right, have a great day, everybody.